blow the dogs out of the corn dog.
What the fuck?
I don't know. I was trying to think of like witty things to say and I failed.
No, I think you did great.
What's inside a corn dog?
Well, it's a hot dog.
It's a hot dog?
It's breaded and fried.
So blow the hot dog out of the corn dog? That doesn't work either.
Blow that hot dog out of its corn pocket.
Oh, ew. That sounds gross. You know what corn dogs remind me of is The Sleepover. Do you remember that movie?
No.
You don't?
No, I don't.
Oh my gosh, we need to watch it. Stop everything. No more recording today, Corinne. We got to watch The Sleepover.
We got to watch a movie.
This was like the best movie. Oh my gosh, I loved it. It was, okay, let's see who's in it. Alexa Vega and...
I cannot believe I missed an Alexa Vega movie.
Oh, Brie Larson's in it? Oh my gosh. Sarah Paxton, Evan Peters.
Wow.
Jane Lynch, Steve Carell.
Cast.
It is amazing. And it's basically like these girls who are, it's a coming of age story. They have a slumber party and they aren't invited to like this big thing. And they go and do like a scavenger hunt. And then they like go out to a bar and they see their mom or one of the moms like there, like having the time of her life. It is like The Hangover, but for teenagers.
This is not ringing a bell at all. And it sounds amazing. And I cannot believe I never watched it.
You have to watch it. I want to watch it right now. Oh, it's so good. I'm pretty sure I like modeled my middle school bedroom off of the bedroom in this movie.
This is a stacked cast. And the fact that all of these people are still acting and still in extremely relevant movies, that's incredible.
Also, hi, everyone.
This is Two Girls, One Ghost.
Two Girls, One Ghost. We are your ghostesses. That's Corinne. I'm
Hello.
Sabrina. And this is an Encounters episode where we read your ghost stories back to you. Agree that, yes, indeed, you all are haunted AF. And it's not us, it's you that is making this the most haunted podcast in America.
It's not me, it's you.
It's you.
Yeah. And I'll say this at the top. We say it at the end of every single episode, and it's also in our show notes. But we have had quite a few people ask us recently, how do we send you a story? If you have a real...
Telepathically, of course.
...experience, you must submit it telepathically or else we'll never receive it. No. So while we have all the social medias, we don't actually read any of the stories sent in to us via Instagram or any of those places. Yeah. So if you want to hear your story read, the best chance of having that happen is by emailing us at twogirlsoneghostpodcast@gmail.com. If you forget that, that's okay. If you look on our Instagram, the email's there. If you look on our website, the email's there. If you look in the show notes of this episode, the email is there.
The email will haunt you, so send us your emails. So will we. Do you want to go first?
I do. This is called, Hey Siri, who is she? Greetings from the frozen prairies of Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada.
I love Winnipeg.
Wait, is that where your family's from?
No. Well, that's where we used to go.
Our good friend Freya's from there.
Is she?
Yes, she is. They still have a house there.
Listen, I made a big mistake real quick. I've never been to Winnipeg.
I was like, do you mean Toronto? We've been to Toronto.
Yes, we have, but I'm thinking of, shoot, why am I blanking on the name of this like ocean that I used to go to?
Ocean, so British Columbia?
Oh my gosh, just forget me.
On the East Coast?
It is on the East Coast, and it's not an ocean. It's like a lake that I used to go to. Oh my God.
A lake.
I used to talk about this.
Was it in Quebec?
Truly, I could sit here for 30 minutes and I don't think it's going to come to me. If it comes to me.
We're not in Winnipeg.
It's just not Winnipeg. And I apologize for I still love it. I've never been, but I still love it.
They have a lot of lakes there in Winnipeg.
There we go.
Similar enough.
This is what you're getting today.
It's what you get every week.
It's true.
My name is Erin, and you may use my real name. I've been meaning to write into you for a while. I know, but something just happened to me, and I'm now typing this email to you at 3:30 a.m. I will start my creepy tale with what just happened and the reason that I'm awake at this ungodly hour. As an adult, I've struggled with insomnia. I talk in my sleep a lot, and I will come back to this. And usually I wake up in the middle of the night and have a really hard time falling back to sleep. Classic anxiety. On this particularly cold evening, I woke up, as I usually do, at 3 a.m. Why always at this time? I tossed and I turned for a moment, and I thought to myself, fine, I'll get up and I'll use the washroom, even though I have to get up for work soon. Just as I sat up to get out of bed, Siri, on my partner's phone, says, hello.
Nope.
I mean, what the actual fuck? Why? Not
Why?
only was this weird timing right as I set up, but his Siri is set to a motherfucking male's voice, and a strange male voice said, "Hello," in my bed at 3 a.m. Not today, Satan. On to my next adventure. As I mentioned previously, I've always been a sleep talker. My partner says that it usually doesn't make sense, and he typically just has a little laugh about it, and then he tells me about it the next day. However, since moving into our rental house a year and a half ago, he has told me that a lot of my nonsensical ramblings have revolved around her. I usually say something about a woman, and I use the term her. On one fateful night, I apparently sat up from a dead sleep, pointed straight ahead of us, and I said, "There she is." Then I casually laid back down asleep. I, of course, do not remember this terrifying demonic moment, but my partner is now a little scared of me.
Erin.
Nothing has happened other than this. I haven't seen or felt anything bad at this home, but it is still quite terrifying. This brings me to my last and lighthearted story. This is in fact my take on it. My partner thinks that it may be more sinister because, demons, but you can let me know what you guys think. This past summer, I was hanging outside, enjoying a beautiful, warm, sunny afternoon with my family. I looked down and I noticed my favorite turquoise ring had broken. I was so sad.
No.
It was my favorite, and I'd never taken it off, that ring. I put it in my pocket with plans to see about getting it repaired. The next day, I was doing the usual boring Sunday tasks, vacuuming, cleaning, doing laundry, and I went to go put my wash into the dryer that was empty, and I opened the dryer door, and there sits a ring at the bottom of the dryer. I had to do a double take. I reached in to grab the ring and inspect it further, and I look at it, and I realize it is a vintage ring that my auntie that has passed away had gifted to me over 10 years ago.
What?
I have not worn this ring as it's not really my aesthetic, nor do I remember ever bringing it into our new house. I wouldn't have been able to tell you where it was if it was packed away somewhere. So there you have it. Was my auntie regifting my ring because she saw how sad I was that my favorite ring broke? Was it something sinister pretending to be my auntie? This is my partner's theory. Let me know what you guys think. Anyway, love you both so much. See you on the other side, Erin.
Erin, does your partner listen to Two Girls, One Ghost? Because I feel
know.
like we go into the sinister theories more often than not.
And I do appreciate Erin did give us the cat tax. You have to give us pet tax at the end of your spooky story. So we did get pictures of Church and Dairy, who are cats, kitty cats.
Gosh, they're so cute.
Yeah, it does sound like Erin's partner is like us, where it's like, nope, demon.
Okay, I don't think that experience to me doesn't sound sinister. It really sounds so sweet and so beautiful. And I am curious, do you wear that ring now? Because it kind of feels like you should if you don't. And maybe if it's not your aesthetic, like put it around like a necklace or something.
Yeah.
Or there's all those companies now that like take antiques and rework them into like more modern day designs, which I think is really cool because you're still utilizing the original.
Yeah.
But then what the heck is happening to you in your sleep state, Erin?
Okay. Well, never mind. I was going to say, do you think it's her who could have damaged the ring in the first place? I don't know who the hell she is, but she does seem kind of powerful. She does seem like Erin's kind of worshiping her in a way in her sleep.
Yeah.
There she is.
It's weird. There's part of me, it's like, is she astral traveling?
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know.
And it's interesting that there's so much contact with her, quote unquote,
whoever
her.
she is.
Yes, in her dream state, but then nothing really outside of that, aside from potentially the Siri hello, unless that was someone else passing through,
Right. I'm also curious, did the because Erin said that their partner didn't really understand what was happening or all the ramblings were kind of nonsensical in the dreams or sleep talking. And then when they moved, it became more about her. So is there a ghost there specifically?
I wonder if Erin, if you were to start a dream journal and just try to remember, especially because you have insomnia, and so you'll wake up more throughout the night. So it's not like you have to remember the entire night of dreams when you wake up. But if you do have any recollection of dreams, if you start journaling, I wonder if you might be able to start remembering meeting her.
Interesting. I feel like we ask a lot of our listeners, but we also, to be fair, ask a lot of ourselves. And we don't actually expect you to do all of these things. but we'd love it if you did.
We're just wondering.
It's a suggestion if you're curious or open to it.
You don't owe us anything, and you don't ever have to do anything that we suggest. Nothing's time bound. You can try it in 80 years from now if you want. You're like, oh, maybe I should start journaling.
Those are the same rules that we follow.
Whenever you feel it, you do it. And if you don't feel it, don't do it.
I have a kind of a longer one. Okay. And it's called Everything But the Cryptid Sink. It's from our listener, Shelby.
I'm into this.
Hello, my spooky witches. Shelby here. First and foremost, I apologize for any typos that are made or any sentences that sound drunk because, well, autocorrect made me do it.
You're forgiven because your subject line is so good.
You're taking one from our book as well. Blame something else. This email is a long time coming. And you know how you always get those listener stories where people say, I'll save this for the next email. Well, if you're anything like me, I want them now. So buckle up. I'm giving you everything.
Amazing. I love this.
I saw your show in Toronto. I came from Michigan and it was incredible. Oh. I loved seeing y'all in person.
Thank you.
My entire life, I have been the outcast, the nerd, the loner, the quiet one. I grew up Christian, but have always been drawn to the moon and things some people like to call witchcraft. I, however, didn't really know that these interests had a home, a community of like-minded people until about 6 or 7 years ago. So I'll start with my earliest memories. When I was little, we lived in a blue house that we called Laketon House because it was on Laketon Street. Real original, I know. My sister and her friends had played with the Ouija board there, so maybe this is what triggered it, but I was like 3 or 4 years old when I went down into our basement looking for a bottle or a blanket or something, you know, whatever toddlers look for. And I remember seeing a person that looked like a Native American floating in the corner. That's all I remember. Ooh. Because as I got older, I thought I had made it up, but my mother has confirmed since then that it did happen. Jump forward to I'm about 8 or 9 years old. My brother and I were sitting on the couch in our living room, a new home, no longer the Laketon house, and neither of us were talking. But then I heard him say something. I wasn't quite sure I heard him right, so I asked, did you just say insert sentence here because I don't remember specifically what he said? And he looked up slowly, turned to me, and goes, eyes wide, guarded. He's like, how did you know what I was thinking? He had not said anything out loud at all. I had heard his thought. Weird.
What?
That's all I got to say about that.
That is so bizarre.
Probably around the same age, I was having a nightmare that I could not wake up from. It took everything in me to finally wake up. And when I did, I couldn't move my body. I could, however, scream. So my mother came in running and asked me what was wrong. And suddenly I could move again. When I told her about this, she told me that Satan was trying to take me and God saved me in that moment. I was 8. As I grew up, I learned what sleep paralysis was and thought back to that moment and decided my mother was crazy. I'm not religious anymore, really, but I am spiritual and I am open. I believe that what everybody believes in has some truth to it. So that being said, I now no longer think my mother is crazy for thinking that because I too do think there was some truth to what she said about the experience. There was something dark there. That is where my childhood encounters end. But fast forward all the way to 22 or 23 years old when my sister and I started to learn about crystals, witches, paganism, fairies, you name it. The world of the magic and of the paranormal. This is when things really began. My sister and I learned about tarot, about crystals, and we soon began having our own little get-togethers for full moon rituals and readings. I got my first pendulum and I printed out a pendulum board, so I was literally using a piece of paper essentially as my Ouija board. I do love that Shelby's doing this with her sister.
Right, yeah.
Sister witches.
It does feel very witchcrafty too, you know, creating your own little sisterly coven.
Well, this is when I learned that I had a spirit guide named Dee. I've only just learned her first name, so for the last 5 years since 2019, I've known her as Dee. She told me a lot about herself. And I was pretty skeptical when using this, thinking maybe somehow my brain was tricking me and subconsciously I was making all of this up. But the craziest part of the whole thing was that she said she died in 2018 in California, and she attached to me because of my energy. I was in San Francisco in 2018 on vacation. So did I pick her up there? After that, I began talking with Dee a lot. I got comfortable with my pendulum, and while sometimes I was uneasy, I never really felt scared. I had someone come through for one of my friends on Halloween night, and someone come through for my cousin, who was her spirit guide that was a family member. And then I found y'all's podcast in 2020, and I soon began to grow more weary of using it after hearing so many stories, so I stopped using it as much. Oh, sorry if we scared you.
I know. Although I will say, it's hard because it's like so many people want to connect with their spirit guides. And when you do, or you connect with like a family member or someone, and you keep up that communication, that seems good. That seems like you're becoming more powerful. You're becoming more in tune with your spirituality. But at the same time, I am a little bit skeptical when I hear that the same spirit is coming through every time, because there's always the potential of a negative attachment.
Right. Or something now like just lurking and watching your communications with that spirit and being like, oh, now I know how to mimic it.
Right.
Anyway, Shelby says, before I stopped, Dee told me I was going to meet my soulmate that same year, 2020. She told me his name was Will, and the initials WT came up. And I didn't really believe this because I wasn't actively meeting new people during the pandemic. So in order to tell you the story, I'm going to take you back to 2015. I was 19, turning 20 that year. And fun fact, I was born on All Saints Day at 10:10 a.m., which would be considered an angel number. So anyway, my sister's fiance at the time had a friend that he also worked with, and he began bringing this friend around. And well, I was 19 and trying to be in my dating era. He was kind of nerdy, but super cute, and I really liked him. He was 24 though, and wasn't trying to go down that road with a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
So he stopped coming around as much, and I met someone else just a few months younger than me. I was 20 now. We met in February of 2016. I fell head over heels, probably because I also lost my virginity to him, and sadly, it was short-lived. We split in November, shortly after my birthday, and my friend came over to console me after because I was a mess. Well, I had a crush on this friend for literal years, and we kind of started a friends with benefits thing that did not end well either. I don't even suggest friends with benefits, but that's a whole other thing. Anyway.
That's for our dating podcast.
Yeah, how ghosts teach you about dating. Anyway, all of this is relevant because this whole situation swore me off dating for years. 4 years to be exact. And over these 4 years, I always thought about dating, but never truly felt ready. So now we're back to 2020, and we're on our family camping trip 3 months after Dee told me I would meet my soulmate named Will. I was 24, turning 25 that year. We were all sitting by the crackling fire, a million stars twinkling above us in the night sky. And we were all a little tipsy on moonshine and beer, and my uncle brought up my love life. He said, "You need to find someone more motivated." "Yeah, and older. All these younger guys are too immature," my sister chirped in. I sighed. I know. I would like to find someone, preferably in their 30s, as open-minded and willing to be adventurous with me. Then it's 4th of July that year. My family and I are talking again, and again, my love life gets brought up. It's important to note that from 2018 to about 2021, I was severely depressed, like the worst I'd ever been in. So in hindsight, maybe my family thought finding someone would help me. I fully believe in independence and that you don't need anyone to be happy, but I'm also a romantic. So this is what leads me to believe that's why they kept bringing it up. Anyway, I said this: I'm ready. If the universe brought me someone today, I wouldn't turn down a date. I had people interested in me in the 4 years that I swore off dating while I was working on myself, and I had always ghosted them because I was never ready. But when I said this and uttered these words, I truly knew I meant it. Exactly a week later, I'm sitting at my cubicle at work. I work at a credit union, so I still had to work during the pandemic, and I received a DM on Facebook. This person that DM'd me was one of the people that came to mind when I was talking to my family. It was my sister's fiance's friend, the one that was 5 years older than me. I knew immediately that he was trying to see where things could go with us because he asked me how my family was doing, and if he really wanted to know, he just would have asked my sister's fiance. He was 29, mature, stable, and as I got to know him, he was open-minded and willing to try new things. The universe had quite literally answered me, and I knew within a week of dating I wanted to marry him. I know that sounds crazy, but I did. And we got married October of 2022.
Oh, just so sweet.
I believe in timing. I really do. He's told me that he was interested back then, but kept his distance because of the age gap. And I truly do not believe that we would be together today if we had got back together back then. I didn't think about what Dee said until almost a year into our relationship. I had met my soulmate. His name was not Will, and his initials aren't WT. But what is weird is that my husband's mom's initials are WT.
Oh, this is reminding me of the invisible string theory episode a little bit.
I completely agree.
I just got chills where it's like all connected. It happens exactly when it's supposed to happen, even though you might have crossed paths before. And when you know, when it's right, it's right. And it was.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'll have another soulmate in another life or if wires in the spirit realm got crossed or what. Although I do believe people can have many soulmates. I also wonder if maybe like your kid's name will be Will or like,
yeah,
I don't know. If there's a will, there's a way. I don't know. That literally makes no sense. It just came to my mind.
Just say more things that have the word will in them.
Just say words. Something will work. Anyway, I told my husband pretty early about everything that I believe, and he was never really a believer and tried to deny the paranormal and excuse it with logic, but you guys, he believes now. So the juiciest stuff is about to happen. In 2021, I moved in with my now husband and started again using my pendulum board quite frequently. Well, in one of my sessions, I started getting figure eights. Needless to say, Dee told me to close out immediately, and so I didn't use it again for over a year. At this point, I had upgraded my pendulum board and wood burned my own. So cool. I heard that if it's made out of wood and personally made, it can attract more spirits. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I believe it.
Oh, I've never heard that before. This is the first time, but I believe it.
It's kind of like art, right? Like you put yourself into it and there's like more power in it. Soon after, sinister things began to happen. My husband has his side of the bed and I have mine, as a lot of people do. He works nights and I work days, so we hardly sleep in the bed at the same time. But when we did, and we slept on each other's sides of the bed, we both would get terrible nightmares. This happened only when we were sleeping together and on each other's side of the bed. So I think it's like they swapped sides.
Mm-hmm.
A different time, my husband was sleeping and I was at work, but he told me he had this really weird dream. We have a Japanese painting in our hallway that we can see from our bed when the door was open, and it always stays open because of our animals. He said he saw a figure standing in front of him, and every time he looked toward it, it would blur. And when he opened his eyes, it was as if the figure was sucked into the painting.
Ew, what the hell?
He says it was a dream. I say it wasn't. He still didn't fully believe in the paranormal at this time, but soon he would.
Poor guy. He's trying so desperately to be like, no,
that's
not real.
It's like, haha, you have no choice. I had always thought that I made him haunted, but now I think he was already haunted and maybe my energy amped it up. He told me that when he was younger, he was having friends over at his house. They were all in his basement. He went upstairs to get a glass of water, and the living room and kitchen were dark. They had a chair by their living room window, and he said he saw a figure sitting in the chair. He thought it was his stepdad, and so he kept calling to him, but the man just sat there, which my husband thought was really odd. So he slowly moved toward this man, his stepdad. And as he did, the man slowly stood up and whoosh, ran right toward him at an inhuman speed, disappeared right before hitting his face.
Oh my God. I know how that feels, and it is very scary. Holy shit. I mean, also, like, her husband has so many experiences.
Yeah. How do you not believe in the ghosts?
Of course this happens to him.
Jeez.
Yeah.
My husband's mother said that his brother also asked her one time when he was 3 who the man in the chair was, and she was completely freaked. This is important to note because my husband and his brother are 18 years apart, so these things happen 10 years apart from one another. One night, my husband and I were asleep on the right side of the bed this time. We were each on our own sides when he woke up, and he told me something. And this is when I could tell that he believed in the paranormal. He said he rolled over to look at me, and as he did, he saw a figure standing next to me on my side of the bed. He was tall, and his head was swarmed with flies, and where his eyes should have been were sunken and lined with teeth. His eye sockets were lined with teeth.
Stop.
He then said at that moment,
so bad.
He saw a woman in the hallway in a purple dress and then felt a hand gently squeeze his left. I would have been next to his right hand, and when he felt this hand squeeze him, the figure beside me disappeared. I wasn't using my pendulum at the time, so I never confirmed, but I believe it was my spirit guide D protecting us and trying to reassure him who squeezed his hand.
Yeah, hopefully, because this also doesn't even feel like, this doesn't feel human. This feels like otherworldly.
It does. It also, like, is it connected to the person in the painting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Although it's weird to just be there and then be like sucked up into the painting and then show yourself in the way that it did. So aggressively, like so different from the first experience.
And this isn't all. So the rest of the stuff happened sometime between 2021 and 2023. I don't have exact timelines. But I was asleep, my husband was at work, and I'm on his side of the bed. And it wasn't a bad dream or anything, but before I went to bed, I know that the TV downstairs was off and the one upstairs was, there's no end to the sentence, so I don't know if it was on or off. But when I woke up, my Goldador, Kobe, was sitting next to me and the lamp in my room was on. And the TV was asleep since it had been on for so long. I thought the lamp being on was odd, and as soon as I thought that, I woke up again. This time the lamp was still on and my suitcases were on my bed. My brain thought, this is normal because it's my stuff. But then I realized the suitcases shouldn't be there. And I woke up again. The lights are off, the TV upstairs is asleep, and I hear the TV downstairs, which I could have sworn that I had turned that off. So I go downstairs, and when I do, again, everything feels normal, but certainly is not. The kitchen is completely different. And as I notice this, I wake up again. But I'm downstairs this time. I turn on the lamp. Everything looks normal, except the lamp is different. I realize this, and I try to call my husband from my watch. Hey, Siri, call name here. Calling Chad, Siri says. Chad is not my husband. Chad is my cousin's husband. And I hardly ever see him, only at family parties. I'm frantically searching for my husband in my phone, and he's nowhere, like doesn't exist. At this point, the familiar stuff that was tricking my brain into thinking I was awake was no longer working. I knew I was dreaming, except that I knew I wasn't. I'm freaking out, and as I'm freaking out, my husband comes home through the front door. He never comes in the front door, and it's the middle of the night. I start to tell him what is happening, and he's calling me crazy and telling me I'm overreacting, which he would never say to me. He walks toward me, and the closer he gets, the more weary I become. I start hitting him in the chest, telling him to get away from me, and he's still calm, but acting like I'm being a lunatic, which at this point, I definitely was. Suddenly, my brain switches and I start screaming, get away from me. You are not my husband. You're a demon, you're a demon, you're a demon, get away. I begin to scream this over and over and over, and all of a sudden I shoot up in bed, upstairs, finally awake. Except I wasn't actually awake.
Oh, God.
Because the upstairs TV was on when it should have been in sleep mode.
What in the inception is going on?
It feels like backroomsy too, like where it's just like never ending. I felt myself give up. I felt like something was trying to keep me there. And I thought, this is it. I'm stuck. I'm not going to wake up. Then my alarm went off. And when I heard my alarm, my eyes shot open again. I was laying down, my heart pounding in my chest, and I was awake. I could feel Kobe lying next to me, and he was watching me calmly, but also on edge. As I'm finally awake, I think, I'm just going to sleep for 5 more minutes. Why did I think that was a good idea when I literally was stuck in what felt like another dimension? As my eyes drift closed, I hear a bell. We do have bells on our downstairs door for our dog to let us know when he needs to go outside, but he was in bed next to me this entire time. So I think something was like, do not fall back to sleep, because at that point I got up and got ready for work instead of falling back to sleep.
This is reminding me just slightly of my mom's experience where she in her dream saw my dad, but he was like a demon. And she aggressively walked towards him and was like, get out, go away.
And it worked, didn't it?
It did work, and it sounds like it's going to work / is working for Shelby too.
Months later, I'm on the phone with my sister, who also believes in all of this stuff. And I had just let my dog back in from outside. We've always had problems with our back doorknob sticking when it's winter. So it's cold out, but it's not quite winter, moving into it. Cold enough for the doorknob to stick. As I'm locking the door, the lock immediately turns back to the unlocked position. Okay, that's weird. I lock it. It unlocks. Now it's really freaking me out.
Yeah, that's really creepy. Like in front of her face.
Right in front of her face. I pull the door towards me and lock it. It unlocks. At this point, I'm thinking someone's outside fucking with me, trying to get in. So I'm freaking out. I'm on the phone with my sister, who's on the other end. It's dark out, and eventually I get the door locked. Well, I'm the type of person who needs to know what the hell is going on, or my mind will come up with the worst thing imaginable. So like the naive one in the movies, I tell my sister not to hang up. I'm going outside.
Oof. Wrong move.
I grab a knife and I head out. We have a very tiny backyard because we live directly downtown in a small town. So it's fenced in. There's a tiny alley between our house and our neighbors, which is also fenced in. Our neighbor is so close that if you look up, there's maybe a few inches between our roofs, and we have a garage. I checked everything. It didn't take too long, like 2 minutes. Nobody was there. So was it the cold or the paranormal? Then my husband was home. I was at work. This is a different day, and he tells me all of his weird dreams. Well, he said in this one, he heard me calling for him, and then he felt something scratch his back, and he motioned to where he felt it. I told him to lift his shirt when I got home from work, and there were 3 lines, deep, scratched down his back. Far enough apart that if he was scratching himself in his dream, his fingers would have had to been sprawled so far away from each other, as far as away from each other as possible.
Ew, it feels like a really big, giant claw.
A few minutes later, I asked him to lift his shirt again because I wanted to take a picture. They were gone. I saged the whole damn house.
That is freaking creepy. I'm glad it's gone, but like, what a warning sign.
I know. Another time, my husband and I were both asleep in bed on our normal sides. We no longer have nightmares if we sleep on the wrong side. But anyway, he says he felt me come up behind him to spoon him, and I whispered his name in his ear as to check if he was awake. He said he slowly felt pressure building, pushing his head down into his pillow. He said he couldn't move. It was only about like 10 seconds before it stopped, and then he fell asleep after that. You guys,
Okay.
that was not me.
Shelby clearly has a spirit guide, or we're hoping D is the spirit guide and D is good. But my God, Shelby's husband needs some sort of protection.
Right.
He is such a target. He's experiencing everything. Ghosts are trying to suffocate him. They're trying to scratch him. They're trying to run and lunge at him. Help this man.
Seriously. Well, then also kind of what you said and you predicted, like, is there something now like that's been lurking and watching Shelby's interactions with D and now is like come through the board and is doing some negative things?
Right. Yeah.
So probably in November of last year, I was having a nightmare, but I knew I was awake. My sister was telling me that we had to go. Someone was outside waiting to pick us up. And now I don't go out a lot, so this already was very strange. And I was confused. I'm like, who's out there? Who? And she just kept repeating, we have to go now. They're outside. They're waiting. I kept telling her, no, I'm not getting into some stranger's car. What are you even talking about? And then she gave me a weird smile, and I knew it was not my sister. I woke up. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago. It's the end of January 2024. I started using my pendulum board again. I don't know why, Shelby. And I've reconnected with D. D assures me that she is still with me. And I've recently learned that my sister also has a spirit guide. D said she has something very important to tell me. And she said that she joined a club. And when I asked her what one, she started spelling out N-E-O. I was confused for a moment. And then she spelled G. And then I knew. She said she joined a Neo Geo club, which is a Nintendo Gold game called Neo Geo Turf Masters, and it's mine and my husband's favorite game to play together. And I thought it was so cute that she was excited to tell me that she joined and wants to play the games with us from the spirit world.
Okay, well now, yeah, that is cute. It is still a little creepy though, how much spirits know about you and your life.
I agree. So there's 2 more stories. I've used this board twice since then and nothing feels off or nefarious, but Kobe has been staring at something in the kitchen most nights. He doesn't seem concerned or anything, just curious. And one night when I was trying to sleep upstairs, I heard my cat Michi running around like crazy downstairs as if playing with something. That one I like to think was my cat Kiki that passed just this last October playing with our cat Michi. Now this last story, it just happened. Saturday night, February 10th, 2024. I was asleep on the couch downstairs with my 2 dogs, Kobe and our new golden Sunny. I was in a dream and I was observing this little girl who was about 9 years old. But also I was the little girl. She was walking through city streets that almost looked like Paris, and there were only a few people around. One person stuck out to her/me in particular, an older man with a white beard and white hair, wearing an orange and yellow type of construction vest. No headwear. He was following her, but not trying to make it obvious. She was very frightened of this man, and she ran home to tell her mom. And now I was fully the little girl, no longer observing. I made my mom come to the window with me so I could show her the man I was calling a creep shadow. As we look out the window, the man is looking into our window, staring directly at us. My mom starts screaming. I start screaming. My scream gradually gets louder and louder until I wake up in real life, and I'm still screaming. As my eyes open, both Kobe and Sunny are standing over me, very concerned. I was screaming so loud, I'm pretty sure my neighbors could have heard me. And when I looked at my phone, it was 3:28 a.m. Kobe truly wouldn't leave my side after that. And I was talking to my sister the next day, telling her about the man that used to live there before us. He was in construction. So I looked him up. I knew his name because we get his mail all the time, and his Google photo did not look like the man in my dream. I can still picture his face so clearly, even as I'm typing this. But as I'm Googling, I see another photo that looks like the man from my dream. I thought it was weird, but I Googled the name associated with the photo, who just happens to be the brother of the man that used to live there. And his brother's also in some construction. I have no idea what this means, but this is my paranormal life for now. Stay spooky. I'll see you on the other side. Love you, ghouls. Shelby.
Shelby, are you okay? This is a lot of activity.
It is
for you and your husband, and you throughout your life too.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on D, Sabrina? What's your verdict?
I don't know. I mean, I'd be curious if there's an alternate way to communicate with D, like via tarot or something, because it sounds like ever since Shelby made that new wood board, a lot more malicious, dark things have been happening.
Yeah, and not just to her, but to everyone around her.
Right. Shelby, you might have a guardian and you might not be getting scratched, but something scary is happening in your house.
Something's lurking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are probably more protected than anyone else in the house. And so you might not be the target, but perhaps you were the door.
The dream thing's interesting. It almost makes me think, especially the one where she asked Siri to call her husband, and it was like Chad, who's her cousin's husband, and she was in a different kitchen. I'm curious if the kitchen in the house that Shelby saw was the cousin's house. Like, was she for a moment like jumping into someone else's dream or brain?
That's really interesting. There's some weird like portal situation too, because the fact that there's a spirit that jumps into a painting, there's that like creepy figure with eyeballs that are actually just like round razors of teeth.
I forgot about that. Yes.
Like it just doesn't feel like a normal earthly, or I guess it doesn't even feel like the typical ghost behavior or typical demon behavior.
Ugh, it's icky.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of stuff happening here. Shelby, I'm glad you still have your wits about you, because you do seem to not be as panicked as I think we would be if we were experiencing this.
Also, Shelby, what does your mom think about all this that's happening right now?
Yeah.
Keep us updated. Sounds like this is very much ongoing and present. What?
My cell phone fell off of the couch near me, but it made such a loud noise and like rumbled the floor below me. I had a heart attack.
You're on the edge of your seat.
I quite literally am. That was a terrifying story. And I'm concerned for Shelby.
I feel like I see some maybe positive, heartwarming ones happening. At least my last story is heartwarming.
Yes, let's move on to some good ones. This one caught my eye because this is from Lizzie, and Lizzie titled it, "I yeeted my dead dad across a parking lot."
What?
Oh, I'm calling them Lizzie, but it's Lizzle. Liz are the two names that were written.
Okay.
My eyes couldn't read. Okay. Hola, Liz here. I've sent other stories before, but this is my most recent experience. It does get sad at first, but it gets better, I promise. In the past, I've shared about how I lost my dad at a very young age. He, 28, and my older cousin, 18, were killed at a family member's high school graduation.
Oh.
It was devastating. It was the day before the 4th of July and 2 days before my older brother's 9th birthday. I was only 7.
I'm so sorry, Liz.
As years passed, my immediate family and I always felt like my dad sent us hummingbirds. In an older email, I've sent a video of a hummingbird following me to my apartment. I've even had a hummingbird smack me upside my head and one nearly land on me on Father's Day.
That is for sure a sign. Like,
for sure.
One encounter maybe is like, well, that's strange, but multiple and it landing on you on Father's Day and literally hitting you in the face. I feel like that, like, yeah.
Truly.
It's your dad.
That doesn't happen to anyone else.
No.
Fast forward to the beginning of August 2023, I've decided I'm going to gift myself my first tattoo for my birthday. And after all these years, I was set on getting a hummingbird tattoo in remembrance of my dad. However, during the summer, there were so many times when a June bug would fly right by me and follow me around and chase me or terrorize me. And I do love June bugs. They're so beautiful. But the sound of the buzzing from their wings always freaks me out.
Yeah.
When I was little, I remember my dad and I playing in my grandma's backyard, and he would catch a June bug and tie a string to its little leg, and we would fly it around like a kite.
Oh my gosh.
Now that I'm older, I realize that that was kind of messed up. But I don't remember ever killing them or really hurting them or anything. Dad and I just loved them, and they were such pretty insects, and it was so fun to fly them around. Anyway, I started seeing them a lot, and it reminded me of when I used to do that. And so I told my dad one day, I can't decide whether I should be getting a hummingbird for you or a June bug. So I'm going to need you to send me a sign, Pops. Whatever I see next is what I'm going to get. Now, I should mention that my dad is a prankster. He always had everyone laughing, and every time people reminisce about him, they're telling me a funny story or something that he did or a prank or something. So tell me why, 2-ish days later, this man decided to send a big-ass fucking June bug to me and have this big, beautiful insect land directly on my chest.
Oh.
I grabbed this big-ass June bug and I yeeted it across the parking lot, and I just watched as it spun around in the air and then it flew away. It scared the hell out of me, and what's funny is my boyfriend and I had just gotten home and we were talking about what tattoo I was going to get when this happened. Sorry, Dad. Thank you for reading, ghosties. See you on the other side or in another dimension, Liz. And Liz got the June bug tattoo.
That's beautiful. And you asked for a sign, and despite being startled by it and literally yeeting it across the parking lot, You sent it on a flight like the kites that you used to create with your dad anyway. Oh, man.
Yeah, you yeeted your dad's June bug across the parking lot. But that's confirmation. And it is special that it's hummingbirds are kind of like the family's sign, you know? They see a hummingbird interacting with them and they're like, that's dad. But I do really like that Liz has a specific thing that's just between her dad and her.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Oh, that is really sweet. I have another one about a dad.
Oh, it's a dad-themed end of the episode.
End of an episode, yeah. This is from our listener, Jessica, and it's called Dad's Spirit Help During Labor and Delivery. Hello, my name is Jessica, and I live in an extremely small town in Kentucky. I have so many stories, but this is something that I literally just figured out and needed to share and get your opinion. So my dad passed away in 2016 suddenly from a heart attack. It was extremely difficult for me. I saw him as completely invincible, basically a superhero. He was extremely hardworking, was a foreman at a sawmill, left every morning at 4 a.m., got home every afternoon at 6 p.m., and then had a 300-acre farm with cattle to tend to. Anyway, I had my first son, Jack, in 2018, and my other son, Ford, in 2022. Him not being here to watch me become a mom and be a grandpa to my boys kills me every day. I do try to talk about him to my boys all the time. During both of their deliveries, I asked my dad to please help me. My first labor and delivery was extremely difficult. The second was easier.
I'm sorry.
But I begged my dad to be there and help me. Jack was born 10/26/2018 at 1:57 a.m. and Ford was born 5/26/2022 at 2:57 a.m. Both boys were born early, no planned induction. It's now July 2023 and it hit me. My dad passed away when he was 57 years old. Both of my boys were born at the minutes 57. I think my dad was saying he was there and he was helping. He saw me become a mom and is always there and here with my boys. Now I need help figuring out the significance of both being born on the 26th. It feels like it can't just be a coincidence. Thanks for listening. I truly love your podcast. Love, Jessica.
This is so sweet. And I feel like this is such a gentle way for him to say that he was there, you know? It's already stressful enough, I'm sure, having had a horrible labor before to go in again and have that anxiety pent up. That like anything could send you over the edge with your fears and anxieties and your hormones and emotions. So it is really nice that in the most like gentle, delicate way, he did give a sign that yes, he was present and he was helping his daughter. He was there for Jessica.
I wonder if her sons will ever see him or have seen him experienced anything.
Yeah.
Because I bet he's watching over them.
So like what if when they're 26, there's something significant that happens that is fully connected to her dad?
Oh, or did something special happen to her dad on his 26th birthday or something like that?
It's one of those things. It just reminds me of our conversation that we had with Dana Newkirk too, where it's like, you don't always get the answers to the paranormal puzzle in the order in which you logically think it will happen. So I'm curious how long it will take. Like, I definitely think Jessica will figure it out one day. Yeah. But when?
We don't know.
Who's to say?
We hope we're still podcasting by then so we can find out.
I know. So we can find out. Okay. Well, I have one more to end us on, and this is kind of related to the story that you just read because this is a pregnancy.
We started in Canada and moved to pregnancy.
Yes. The natural progression of events. Yeah. Trigger warning for child loss, miscarriage, and infertility. Hey, lovely ladies. So excited for Corinne's news and wanted to share some of the spooky things that have happened since I became pregnant. I'm currently 11 weeks.
Congrats.
So backstory, we've been on a trying 5-year journey that has included 3 miscarriages and 2 years of infertility and an endometriosis diagnosis. I was expecting my period mid-December. The week leading up to it, I was in so much pain that I thought that I was just having this really bad endo flare. At this time, I was seeing 444 everywhere. The time, randomly in places, and as Google says, seeing 444 conveys a powerful message of love, support, and guidance from your angels. Aww. It serves as a reminder that your angels are by your side offering their unwavering support. And the number 4 symbolizes stability, security, and a strong foundation. A few days before Christmas, my very on-time period was a day late. So I took a test, and it was positive. And I was so scared. And I was cautious the first few weeks, but I just kept seeing 444. Aww. One night, I had a dream. I was at my parents' home. I was walking past what is now my sister's room, and my grandma was there sitting on a bed, smiling and waving in the way that she did. She was so happy. She passed away about 15 years ago. I then walked towards my parents' living room, where my aunt was standing. And she took me into the biggest hug, a huge smile on her face. She passed away about 10 years ago.
Oh.
They were both a huge part of my life growing up, and I haven't dreamt about them in a very long time. We had an ultrasound a week ago, and our little Bean had a strong heartbeat and even gave us a little wiggle.
Oh.
I have never made it this far in a pregnancy. I am so sick, which apparently is a good sign.
Oh.
I believe seeing 444 so often recently was a message telling me that things were going to be okay, and that my grandma and my aunt coming to me in a dream validated that for me as well. Of course, I'm still cautiously optimistic, but it is still so beautiful to have some positive confirmation from my family in the spirit world. Love you, ladies. See you on the other side. Chelsea.
Wow, Chelsea, congratulations. And I'm so sorry for all of the losses that you went through and how hard it has been. This is so beautiful. And I love that your grandma and aunt were there to like show you support and kind of encourage you and let you know that this one will be okay.
Because it's different than the rest, right? You know,
Yeah.
Chelsea said she hadn't had that experience of seeing her aunt or her grandma or any visitations from loved ones in a long time. And so for them to just like, it does feel so real too, where it's like you walk in and they're just giving you this warm embrace because they're just so happy for you. And they just so feel it. And all of the joy and all the happiness it will bring to you. They're feeling it for you.
We're so excited for you to bring another creepy kid into this world.
Wow!
Creepy Kids Unite. Well, this one took us on a freaking roller coaster.
This was a roller coaster.
If you have ghost stories, please email us to twogirlsoneghostpodcast@gmail.com. It can be literally about anything. As you could tell from this episode, we traversed so many different topics and areas of the world and themes. So please truly just send us whatever haunting tales from yourself, from your family, your friends, anyone that you meet on the street. Ask them if they see dead people and then tell us about it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get episodes 1 week early and ad-free, join us on Patreon. We have one tier. It's $5 a month that you get episodes 1 week early, ad-free. You get a bonus episode every month and campfire stories every Tuesday night where you can join us live and share your ghost story with the most haunted phantom community. And we also have quarterly book club. We have so many fun things happening over there, so join us there.
Mm-hmm. You can follow us on social media. You can check out our website to find out how to contact us, for our updated P.O. Box address, for a list of all of our sponsors and the codes if you're looking to save a little money anywhere.
Yeah, treat yourself.
Treat yourself. And we also want to shout out Jamie Ryan, who produces and edits this podcast and does an incredible job of doing both the video and the audio for us and all the extra stuff that we post on Patreon as well. So thank you, Jamie.
And we love you all so much. Thank you for listening.
And we will see you on the other side.